Lansu Chinese Garden is celebrating 25 years of culture, community, and connection this September. If you haven't been, it's the gem of the historic Old Town Chinatown neighborhood. And now is the perfect time to discover why Lansu is more than a garden. They're inviting everyone to help them celebrate their milestone with discounted admission, cultural performances, historical exhibits, and so much more. You can go to lansugarden.org for more details. That's LANSU garden.org. Today on CityCast Portland, we're talking with Portlander Scott Whipple, who's one of the only people on record to have walked all 94 neighborhoods in our city. Almost twice, too, with his dog Luna. He's got tips on the best neighborhood walks and insight into how walking all of Portland changed his view on the city as a whole. It's Thursday, August 28th. I'm Claudia Meza, and this is what Portland's talking about. Why did you decide, I'm going to walk every single neighborhood in Portland? I know this happened during COVID, so we all had a lot of time. Is it something that you always wanted to do and you're just like, now is the time? Or is it something that came to you while we were all quarantining?
It just came to me. I am someone who likes to set goals and fun targets and things of that nature. But it wasn't something I always wanted to do. During COVID, at the end of May of 2020, so we're about 2.5 months into it, and I was doing my daily walk with my dog. I said, I'm bored of this neighborhood. I've seen these houses forever. And so I decided to drive to where my mom grew up on Selwood Moreland and just walking that neighborhood. And we had about a 3-hour walk and saw some things that were the same, that brought back some memories, saw some things that were new. You know, that time of our lives was all a little depressing, but people were out in the yard and it was, you know, hey, how's it going? A lot of short little conversations and we had a really good time. Mm-hmm. And so on the drive home, I said to myself, I was with my dog, Luna, hey, let's walk all of Portland neighborhoods. I didn't know how many there were at that time.
How many are there?
There are 94 officially, but I've heard you talk on other podcasts about how it's difficult to pin down the number of parks we have. Mm-hmm. And this is a little similar, not really, but interestingly, Wikipedia says we have 95, but if you count the number of entries, there's 96. But the City of Portland official number is 94. And that includes places that I wouldn't even have thought were in the neighborhood association, like Forest Park.
Forest Park neighborhood. I mean, there are houses around there, though.
Yes, there are a few houses, but it's mostly just the park. And it's divided into 3 sections, and we walked all 3.
Yeah. Well, after going through all 94, 95, or 96 neighborhoods, did it change your view of Portland at all? Because you grew up here.
Yeah. As a young person growing up, most of my experience was on the west side and southeast. But I have always had great pride in Portland. You know, I went to college in the Midwest. People were tired of hearing me talk about Portland and the Blazers and everything Portland. So I've always had great pride. But at that time, remember, the news stories weren't very positive. And so I bought into some of that, especially in neighborhoods I wasn't familiar with in the Far East. But yes, it did surprise me in a way that some of these neighborhoods where I had even some of my own biases based on local media coverage that weren't nearly the war zones that they were made out to be.
Yeah.
In all of our walks now, I'm fortunate. I'm a larger male, so maybe not quite a target that some might be for those who want to cause harm. But we didn't have any bad experiences, no run-ins, nothing but positive experiences on our walks. And that did surprise me. I think the most surprising thing to people today is the people that don't go downtown. And I ask those people to please consider going to downtown Portland. It is clean, it is safe, and those businesses need your help.
Yeah. It is really interesting how there's certain narratives that kind of are baked into Portland. Like, I remember when I first moved here in the early aughts, people still thought of North Portland as a war zone. People were like, oh, we don't go to North Portland. I'm like, really? You know, not to discount people's like lived experiences or all of the actual atrocities that happened to the people living in North Portland,
Right.
you know,
Right.
having their land taken away, all this stuff. But like, someone who grew up in East LA I was like, this is a suburb.
Yeah.
There are trees here.
Yeah.
There are roses. Ma'am, this is a nice neighborhood. This is not where I grew up.
Yeah, no.
So I get what you're saying, like people just being like, oh no, whatever. Like,
Yeah.
was there like one neighborhood in particular? I know like we don't want to talk trash or anything, but like, was there one neighborhood in particular that you grew up just people being like, oh, we don't go here. And then you went and you're like, yeah, this is nice. It's fine.
Yes. In particular, when I grew up, parts of North Portland were considered unsafe. But I now know lots of people that grew up there, and I don't believe that to be true. But at the time, that was the narrative. So that was my experience growing up, is we didn't really go to North Portland too much, or outer Southeast either.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Now, when you're older, you're like, I'm pretty sure that was racism.
Yes,
So,
yes.
so out of all 94 neighborhoods, 95 and or 96, did you have an all-time favorite or like a least favorite?
Yes.
I want to hear like top neighborhood to walk in.
To be honest, I had a lot of great walks, a lot of positive walks. I enjoyed almost all of them. And so if I don't mention your neighborhood, I'm sorry. Okay, I'm supposed to pick one. And the one where it just hit me that day was the Beaumont, Wilshire neighborhood. I was certainly familiar with it. I knew the main drag on Fremont, but I had never really walked through the neighborhood portions and was surprised at how nice the houses were, how well-maintained and large they were. And just there was enough elevation to make it interesting where you could cut through from one road to another on some hidden stairway, so to speak. And just enough of a business district there on Fremont between 42nd and roughly, well, the neighborhood stops at 47th to have a good balance. And Wilshire Park is right there too.
Yeah, yeah. And it's Northeast Portland. It's so close to Pips, but it's not quite.
Yeah.
And I think Cully's on top, Concordia's next to it. That is a really nice area for sure. Okay, what about, and again, this is no hate. This is just your day walking that neighborhood. What was your least favorite neighborhood walk?
My least favorite neighborhood walk was easily East Columbia.
You could just say Columbia Boulevard.
I was actually surprised up by the yacht club and by the river. There was some residential area there that I was completely unaware of. But generally, we were walking on roads that didn't have any sidewalks, going down MLK with cars streaming by, nothing interesting. And at that time, there was quite a bit of trash and homeless as we walked through the south part and got up to Delta Park. And at that time at Delta Park, there was a lot of, needles and trash and whatnot. So that was my least favorite.
Yeah, yeah. I know that neighborhood because of Northeast Marine Drive, which is ironically my favorite street to drive on.
Yes.
Just because it goes right along the Columbia River.
Yes.
But I totally know what you're talking about because East Columbia also, it's like, it's weird. It's like country clubs and the Jubit's truck stop and Lowe's is there. That's like where the bottle return center was. And I think they moved it because the people who own that strip were like, it's tanking all of our other businesses. I totally know what you're talking about. It feels less like a neighborhood and more like a business park.
Yes. And the neighborhood right next to it, Sunderland, is very similar in the sense that it's almost all industrial.
Yeah. Real quick, though, I heard that you actually, in your walk, were just like, I think this is the neighborhood for the perfect beer crawl. So
Yes.
I need to know.
Well, more than just on my walk. I actually did this beer crawl.
Oh, okay.
And it's Buckman
Neighborhood.
On this particular night, this is a little bit of a cheat because we started in downtown Portland at everyone's favorite Yam Hill pub.
Oh, yeah.
And then walked across the bridge to Buckman and went to the Slammer, the Loyal Legion,
Man.
the White Owl, the Basement Pub, and ended late at my father's place for breakfast after midnight.
That is perfect.
And that doesn't even mention a whole lot of other bars that are in that same Buckman neighborhood.
Mm-hmm. Every time I think I could do a beer crawl by the set, because you have a beer at every stop, correct?
Oh, yes.
Yeah. Maybe I should start doing half pours. By the third stop, I'm like, I'm good. I want to go home now.
I've had a little practice.
You're like, I've trained all my life. Well, let's take a quick break here. And when we come back, Scott, you're going to give us some walk ideas for the coming fall and winter season. Putting together estate plans for yourself or a family member can be one of the most difficult and frankly not fun things to do as an adult. But Ardent Estate Sales and their team of experts can at least make the selling part of it a lot less stressful. With over a decade of experience in the industry, Angela and her team takes great care to ensure that the entire process of organizing your estate sale is seamless. From pricing to staging, advertising, down to managing the sales, Angela is licensed, bonded, and insured, and she works hard to get everything right, creating the best and most profitable outcomes for her clients. Ardent Estate Sales brings a designer's eye to every setup. From artful displays to thoughtful arrangements, they're designing an inviting atmosphere that highlights value and tells a story, your story. To learn more and book a consultation, head to ardentestatesales.com. That's ardentestatesales.com. If you're a home DIYer like me, you might have a few leftover paint cans gathering dust in your basement. Or maybe your house already came with a bunch of them like mine did. So I'm happy to share that Paint Care makes recycling your leftover paint, stain, and varnish simple and easy with convenient drop-off locations as close as your local hardware store. Paint Care has 3 simple rules for painting smarter. 1, buy the right amount of paint for the job. 2, use up leftover paint. And 3, recycle the rest. If you visit paintcare.org/3simplerules, you'll find tips on how to do all 3. Buying the right amount of paint for your project, exploring DIY ideas for how to use up leftover paint, and also just look up the nearest drop-off site in your neighborhood. Paint Care is all about keeping it simple for Oregonians. So Scott, before we jump into these recommended walks, I'm curious, for every neighborhood you went to, did you have like a routine, like a ritual, like you walk the neighborhood and you do a thing like, like I have one beer in this neighborhood, or I check out a bakery, or like, was there like a thing that you did that made you feel like the neighborhood has been walked?
Yes. The first time for each neighborhood, I would go to make sure I went to the corner of the boundaries. And when I'm using the term corner loosely, because, not all of them are rectangular in shape. And I would always walk through any park or school that was in the neighborhood. I'd make sure that was on the route. But no, we didn't make sure that we ate or drank or any of that. I was with my dog, and after about these 3 hours, it was time to get home and feed her. So,
yeah. Do you want to explain a little why walking through a school was important to you, so people don't think that you're some kind of weirdo?
Just because, in my experience, the school is usually the center of a neighborhood and a community and a gathering spot. And I felt like it was a good place to get somewhat of the vibe of the neighborhood if there was kids playing soccer in the field, or people swinging on the swings, or parents running their dogs. It was just usually a good place to A, park without someone wondering why you're parking in front of my house, and B, get a good feel for the neighborhood.
Gotcha. Well, let's break down these walks. What are some of your favorites, especially in the fall when the leaves are turning? Like, what do you think would be the most beautiful walk in Portland in the fall?
Now, I'm going to preface by saying there's several in Southwest Portland that are very woodsy and would be very pretty to walk through in the fall. A lot of those neighborhoods are a little more challenging because they're not on grids. So you have to do some planning if you're going to do a loop, and you have to be prepared to walk on some roads that may not have any shoulder or sidewalk, which can be a little nerve-wracking. But my first choice for the fall would be Eastmoreland. Beautiful homes with beautiful big trees along the golf course. And if you pick the right time when the leaves are turning, it'll give you a great view. And another great option is near you is Cathedral Park, because not only do you have a lot of trees in Cathedral Park, you can look across the river and see Forest Park and those leaves turning. So those would be my 2 choices.
Oh, those are excellent. I forgot how beautiful Cathedral Park is, because you're right. You look across and it's surrounded by the river and Forest Park. So everywhere you look, you're just like trees. It's really beautiful.
Yes, it is.
All right. Well, what are some good winter walks?
Well, from personal experience, on Christmas Eve 2020, I walked Alameda, which is, no surprise to anyone, I don't think, that's been around for very long. That it's
That's gorgeous.
One of Portland's wealthier neighborhoods and one of nicer neighborhoods. But it was a crisp winter day, and almost all the houses had holiday decorations out. And it was just really felt very festive and seasonal. And it felt almost like out of a movie, like I was watching Home Alone in that neighborhood or something like that. Mm-hmm. And then depending on the weather, I also think South Portland, which incorporates the South waterfront condo towers in that little area and goes south along the river. If it's a crisp winter day, not pouring rain, but if it's a crisp winter day, I like walking along the river. It just seems relaxing. It just takes you away for a little bit. And there's just a lot of interesting little homes and nooks and crannies to see as you're taking the path down south along the Willamette.
I love South Portland. I love the South waterfront. Well, it was a pleasure talking with you, Scott. Is there anything I didn't touch that you just want people to know about your journey through all these neighborhoods?
I guess I would just say I've often heard people talking about how going to different places expands your horizons. And we're usually talking about maybe a different country or a different state or a different culture. And I would just encourage people to check out their city too. I think you'll find there's lots of cool places and lots of great parks and restaurants and bars all across the city. And I really enjoyed it. And I feel like I'm closer and more connected to the city and just more comfortable. You don't have to walk them all, but get out of your little cocoon and check out other places of town.
Yeah, well said. Well, since you are part of our CityCast Neighbors membership program, did you just want to give a shout out to something in our community today, since that is a perk?
Yes, thank you. I appreciate the opportunity. So I've had the good fortune of being one of the boys basketball coaches at De La Salle North Catholic High School in Northeast Portland. And it's Portland's most affordable and diverse private high school. It provides a rigorous academic experience to young women and men with limited financial resources of all faiths, coupled with a real-world work experience to give students a leg up for college admission. And they have a college acceptance rate of 98%. So it's a great institution. Please support it. Go Knights.
Awesome. Could I ask a favor for you, Scott?
Absolutely.
If you were to pitch the neighborhood program to somebody, what would you say? Why would it be worth joining the CityCast Neighbors membership program?
Well, in my opinion, it's a great way to be a part of your community and meet some different folks. It's a great way to support local journalism and learn more about the city that we live in. And the perks for my, modest membership fee, I've already got a walking tour at St. John's, a pickles ticket, a beanie, and a bottle of whiskey. So I think I owe you guys money.
Oh man, there's still whiskey in that bottle?
Yes, I haven't opened it yet.
Well, next time we hang out, maybe we all take shots and we're good.
That's a good idea.
Okay. Well, thanks again, Scott. We appreciate your time.
All right, thank you.
Now for some events happening this week. Every Thursday on the show, we like to bring you a few recommendations to help you plan your weekend. And here's what we got. Tonight is the final last Thursday in the Alberta Arts District until next summer. It starts at 6 p.m. and goes till 9. There's food, live music, performers, and hundreds of artists and vendors set up all along the street. If you haven't gone, now's your chance. And your last chance until next summer. I suggest taking a Lyft, biking, or taking public transport because it's nearly impossible to find parking once it gets going. This Friday is also the start of the Montevilla Jazz Festival, which is going through Sunday. If you're short on cash, there's a lot of free shows, but there's also some pretty big headliners, and you can still grab your passes now to gain access to all shows at montevillajazz.org. And finally, this Saturday at 3 p.m. is Glizzathon, a free music festival at Anarchy Beach on Swan Island. It's an all-day celebration of local music and glizzies, which are hot dogs if you didn't know. Bring your own glizzies for roasting and whatever other beach accessories you'll need to hunker down and enjoy some music. And this is just scratching the surface. There's so much going on this weekend. For even more local events and news, sign up for our daily newsletter, Hey Portland. You can also hit up our website at portland.citycast.fm. We'll throw a link for all this in the show notes. Well, that's all for today here on CityCast Portland. Thanks so much for listening. We'll be back tomorrow morning with more from around the city. Until then, see you at Slim's.